Good afternoon. Welcome to Culture Coast. The intro you just heard was by Al Musitano, and today we're interviewing fine artist Michelle Held. Hi, Michelle. How are you today?
Good. How are you today?
Wet.
Yes.
A little soggy out there for the last week. So you are an artist down in Sarasota. Tell me a little bit about your studio.
We're located at Tolles Court, which is right downtown Sarasota, where they have artists in residence in our neighborhoods.
And that is the Sarasota Artist Colony.
Yes, the Tolles Court. It's in the historic district, right downtown, 2 blocks south of Ringling.
Oh, very nice. And how often are you there? Do you work right out of the shop there?
I do, but because I'm a faux finisher as well, faux finish and murals, I work in people's homes and restaurants. I spend all my fun time there, but lately I've been super busy with that, so I'm at least there 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay, so you're in the studio working at Tolles Court, and then you also show at Tolles Court. Now, what are your open hours down there?
We're open from 11 to 4 from Tuesday through Saturday. Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's hard to remember all that. And also for their art walks.
Right. Our art walk is the third Friday of every month from 6 to 10.
And that's on the third Friday. So
right.
No matter what, it's the third Friday.
Yes, and all the artists are always there for
Do y'all open
that
up the
occasion.
day after Thanksgiving as well? Or is that a day off?
Yeah.
All right. Now, how did you get your beginnings in art? How old were you when you first picked up a piece of crayons or chalk and you knew that this was an idea that you just loved?
The moment I knew, I was 12 actually, but I know from things I did as younger than that somebody was leading me along that way. So, but at age 12, I entered a contest and won a scholarship for 2 weeks, and
Wow.
so I knew at that point.
What kind of scholarship was it?
To an art camp for 2 weeks. So everything
And what
there
did you
was.
do?
We did some clay and some painting. We built a monument there, but there was
This was at the artist camp. You did this
right, and there was musicians there, theater there, as well as the visual arts.
And where was this?
And that was in Maryland.
Maryland. Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you're from Maryland and you grew up there. Did you go to school there as well through your?
Until I was 12, and then I moved to Florida that summer.
That summer is when you moved to Florida. Is this the area you moved to originally?
No, Tampa. I grew up in Tampa, and I went to a vocational high school where I had commercial and advertising art, and that was the extent of my education for
Well,
the
that's a
arts.
pretty extensive education if you were doing Vo-Tech. That was for
Mhm.
4 years through high
Right.
school. That's pretty good
Yeah,
training.
so-
So you were doing a lot of work every
Yeah.
day in the arts.
Yeah, very disciplined teacher. Mhm.
And at that point, you've gotten as much as most college kids
Right.
would for that specialize in art. So Vo-Tech can be a very good path to learning commercial and graphic
career.
arts.
Right. When people talk about going to college and this and that, I understand college is for some, but I also feel like a vocational college is good for others.
Yeah, it depends on what your dream is and
Right.
whether it can teach you what you need to get where you want to go.
Right.
I mean,
right.
if you want to be a plumber, how much help is college really going to be?
Right, exactly.
It might teach you how to do the business side of it, but you can get that at a Vo-Tech as well.
Right, right.
Good point. So
Yeah.
we're not always going to have to go to college. And there's some people who are self-taught artists.
Right.
They don't even go to a Vo-Tech or a college, but they have some innate talent for art. So that's what
Right.
we're all about here, is figuring out that there's lots and lots of paths to get where you're going.
Right.
Now, early years, are anybody else in your family an artist at all?
My grandmother was.
What did she do?
She was a painter.
And-
I recall her painting with toothpicks to get the very, very small details. So it was just a hobby of hers. She worked
was
for
a
the
hobbyist
government.
rather than making a living at it, but
Oh,
it gave you a love for it.
Right, and I tended to think I was going to start several different businesses, and she supported all of them.
So
financially, yes.
very nice.
Until-
So you had an angel.
Yeah, she was my angel till I was 22.
That was very good.
Yes.
So we're going to get into a little bit more of your art and what type of art it is, because there's even though you're a painter, we know that. Are you a watercolorist, an oil artist, or an acrylic, or something else altogether?
Right. My career for the past 21 years has been a faux finisher and muralist here in the Sarasota-Bradenton area.
And what does that mean?
If you wanted your wall to look like marble, or you wanted a fake doorway, or things of that sort, I could create anything and all of that for you. Starting with the Michelangelo. They call me Michelle Angelo, so, I'm always upside down on a ladder somewhere. 21 years of that, so my canvas is very large, walls speaking, brought me to the Tolles Court area where I do large canvases.
When you say large canvases, what's the average size on a canvas of yours?
Of mine is probably 3 to 4 foot by 3 to 4 foot and larger. I've been making some G-clay smaller so that I call them suitcase art for those visitors that want to take something home with them.
And don't want to spend for an original.
Correct. But I have created a process with an acrylic undercoat, and then I come back with the oils on top, which gives you a lot of detail, but then gives you the luminosity of the oil paint, which is, it kind of radiates light through the canvas. So
I have noticed some of your underwater pictures that really seem almost reminiscent of Larson from Hawaii. They reminded me a little bit of his play with light.
Yeah, I feel that most people see the light in the paintings first.
Yeah.
And then they see the objects next.
Of course, everybody knows Thomas Kincaid is the master of light.
Yes. Absolutely. But I've learned some of his secrets as well. So
Good.
that's good for business.
That's
If you can make a business out of it, that is.
So are you still doing the murals and the faux finishes as well as being a fine arts artist?
Right.
Correct. At the gallery. So you're
Yes.
doing both businesses.
Yes, I'm pretty much running 2 businesses. So.
And how many hours a week are you putting in doing that?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
No waitressing and taxi driving for you to try to make ends meet. You're doing it all with your art.
Today I faux finished a home. I went and looked at a restaurant this afternoon to give a estimate to, and then just before I came here I was airbrushing some t-shirts for a college, Delaware. So
how did they find out about you in Delaware?
I was involved with baton twirling for the past 12 years. I was a coach and a mom of a very good baton twirler in the United States. She was actually major at Queen of America in 2008.
So because of a connection networking through the baton twirling of your daughter, you met someone who wanted t-shirts at a college in Delaware.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Kind of a convoluted
nationwide.
path, but
Yes.
You don't do a whole lot of marketing. They just keep coming to you at this point because you've been in the business for over 20 years.
Correct.
And that's the fall finishing that brings that in. Now, how is when did you start your fine arts and your fine arts studio?
Approximately 3 years ago.
And did you have any questions as far as whether you would be successful at fine arts rather
Absolutely. And the reason I got this studio was I had to downsize to an apartment. So I didn't have anywhere to store my paints. So I was around looking for a place, and fortunately I called the right person, who I asked him if anyone would like to share a space there. He offered me the space for 3 months at half price, and I took him up on it, and who knew, the first year I sold over 100 paintings.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Now,
Yeah.
do other people at Tolles Court do that well?
I think so. There are a couple of us who actually create art for a living, pays my electric, pays, my bills. There's also some hobbyists there who summer up north, winter down here, that sort of thing. I'm not sure if they take that aggressive route that I do of,
But you're making a living out of it. It's not something that you
it is not
you don't
my
have something
hobby.
to fall back on.
Nothing. And now my husband has left his career and is now working with me in the painting and faux
The
business.
faux business. So you're
Yes.
showing him all the techniques for the faux business. Now
Correct.
murals, that's a little tougher, isn't it? How do you?
Yeah, for me.
Because he's not trained as an artist.
No.
You're training him.
But the surfaces have to be prepared. Very good. I also have to be organized. So he's right there. When I've left something, I need something. He's sort of, just does everything he can to support my career at this point.
Which is enough now for both of you
Right.
to have a career at it.
Yes.
That's a pretty incredible success story.
Yes.
Right there all by itself without even going on to where you're heading now with the fine arts. I mean, that's just your basic bread and butter. You're getting to make stuff, but it's other people's stuff.
Right.
The
exactly.
fine arts, you're drawing painting what you want to paint, correct?
Yes, and that is the biggest difference between the faux finishing and
The murals.
mural business as opposed to what I'm now on to the fine arts.
Right, because
Right.
one is you do the picture and then put it up in your studio, and people pay a whole lot more money for your fine arts, don't they?
Correct.
Than they do for your faux
Yes.
finishes and murals. I mean, here's a mural by an artist who's getting thousands of dollars for her fine artwork, and you're doing it for, it may cost them a few thousand, but it's a mural
Right.
by a fine arts.
Right. And I
painter.
think that was the reason always the success of the faux finish is that I was an artist first and decided to go into faux finishing, where there's a lot of painters who decide they want to make more money, so they try to learn an artistic way of painting, where I offer a variety of services that's what keeps them coming back, the customers.
Right,
So,
and recommending you, and somebody else sees the finish and they go, "Oh, how did you do that?" And they go, "Oh, we use Michelle."
right,
Which
exactly.
keeps you getting calls on the bread and butter of your lifestyle, but
Right.
but your fine arts are actually becoming more than bread and butter. I mean, they're more than
Yes.
jam.
Yes.
They're really taking off.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that and how you had the 3 months at 50%, and then you sold
Right.
100 paintings. Now your paintings aren't cheap. Were they less expensive at first?
Well, yes, and of course there's 4-inch by 12-inch paintings that I include in those numbers as well. And I tend to sell a lot of those smaller paintings.
Because people can afford them.
They can afford them, they're original pieces of art, and they can pack them and take them as a gift or
But you also
things
ship,
like that.
don't you?
I do ship. So, yeah, lots of different things have been happening with that. The most recent success I had is the Marietta Whimsy Museum. She's purchased 2 pieces that will be in her show that opens in October.
Very nice. Now, what is your most expensive piece, and what size was it, and what was the composition of it?
I recently sold a about 30 by 36 painting. It was of 2 spoonbills and 1 ibis in flight. And that sold for $3,000 before it was even finished on the easel. The lady came in, fell in love with it, says I have to have it.
And that was one where the light was reflecting off of their wings.
Yes, and the shadows were coming through. I have several friends who are wildlife photographers who allow me to use their photographs because their light is so incredible. So I'm working on an osprey right now.
And your stuff is very realistic. You're not doing
Right.
modern art or even contemporary. Yours is very much classical. It's not still life, but it is
Yeah.
classical. Everybody knows exactly what it is. And
Yes.
there's no question that this is
Oh,
a
yes.
painting, and it's a painting of this. It's a
Yes.
stingray, it's a bird, it's a tiger, whatever.
Yes. Along the lines of contemporary, now that you say that, it's funny because I had done some background work of water, and someone walked in and says, I want that. Well, who knows what kind of fish I was going to put on that, but okay, you need that? Okay, it's sold. So recently I've
didn't
sold
finish
6 of those without finishing anything. So People are in love with this water technique that I have. And I think it's just a feeling again. It's always about a good feeling and good light.
And that's something we had discussed earlier, but our audience doesn't understand. Tell us about your philosophy on painting and what it should give to the viewer.
Yes. In my life, I only want to see happy. I only want to hear happy and be happy. So anything dark, if you need me to paint a skull, it's not going to come out of my hands. Maybe those new sugar skulls or something that are happy. No dark stories. No dark music. It just
No
doesn't
dark
work with me.
movies. We don't
No.
need to watch the Titanic go down.
Oh no war, no,
Yeah.
nothing happening bad.
Oh, can we stop war?
I would love to.
So would I.
Yes.
Let's paint our
Let's
way
go
out
paint.
of it.
Yes, I was gonna say let's go paint their homes happy.
Happy,
something.
happy.
Yes,
So you're bringing light and beauty,
beauty.
not death and destruction, and it doesn't matter how graphically deep and dark it is. You're not interested in that because it's not a happy feeling that they walk away from.
Correct.
You want your art to provide them with a feeling of satisfaction that they're completed, that it does something wonderful for them.
And I think it lightens their attitude. A lot of times, because I do paint locally, and I've recently gone down the plein air, which means that we're painting outside in the local spots of Sarasota and Bradenton. People recognize where the spot is that I'm painting.
We had them come in and
So.
do the village a couple years ago. They were all setting up in
Yeah.
front of different galleries, and they'd have like 4 different angles of a gallery, and then they'd move 30 minutes later and do another one. I was like
That's
really impressed at how
awesome.
fast they paint in that plein air stuff.
Yes.
It's very quick painting, but they may finish it later, but the basic painting is there and done in 30 minutes. It's like,
Right.
wow.
And
That's-
that has a lot to do with the light as well. So.
Very much so, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, on a gray, nasty day, I don't see them out.
I'm currently in a painting competition this week in Bradenton, and it has rained all week, as you know. And so my painting is gray and purple, and rain is coming through it. So we'll see how that translates at the end of the day. It's kind of serene. It's not dark, but it's serene.
We have had a lot of sogginess.
It is raining.
There have been moments of sun shining on all those puddles.
Yeah.
You are doing those things. Now your husband has come in with you. Do you have anybody else working with you or helping you out? How do you do your framing? How do you decide all the lighting in your gallery? All these different components of having your own fine art studio. How do you do that?
That's all me.
It's all you.
Yeah.
You determine the lighting and what kind of frame you're going to. Where do you go
Yes.
for your frames? Do you do them yourself or?
As of recent, there's a lot of really good frames online. And if you're familiar with the brands, you'll pick good quality frames. That's as important as the painting. So locally, I'll go to Art and Frame in Sarasota by Sarasota High School. I tend to go online, and if not, I recycle some. I'll find frames that are beat up at stores, and I know that they have good bones to them, and I'll faux finish the frames. So,
how cool is that?
yeah, it kind of works together.
Do you do the matting too?
No matting.
No matting. Yours are all because yours aren't watercolors. Yours are.
right. And a lot of mine is gallery wrapped, which doesn't require a frame at all.
That means it goes around the canvas goes around the edge of the wooden frame that's
Right.
there. Okay.
It's about a 2-inch stretcher for
And
the
that's
canvas.
called gallery wrapped when they do that.
Right.
Okay.
It saves the people money on their frames.
I have a question about that because I have seen a lot of that lately.
Yes.
It's much more popular than it was in the old days. Now,
Yes.
they have it looks more like the painting was at one time one complete piece and then they wrap it around the frame afterwards because the edges are not blank. They're all painted. Is that how it works? Or do do you have the canvas already across the wood frame and then do you paint on the sides
Yes.
to finish the picture? Really?
Yes.
You do the side painting and
Yes.
make it all work, huh?
Yes, you just wrap it around. You continue your painting around to the side.
That's just kind of odd to me. I would be like, okay, I reached the edge. I'm not doing. How can you see the side when it's
Right.
It seems very odd. I always thought that they had done the whole thing and then wrapped it.
In the new processing with the giclées, which is the new printing process for those, the giclées are wrapped around. All my originals are painted around.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Sometimes I forget a couple edges. I have to go back. So
I'm glad it's not just my thinking. It was crazy.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
now you have a website? No,
No,
but you have Facebook.
right.
All right, now how do they find you on Facebook? To get an idea of some of your work. You do have
M
it on
Held
there.
Studios, yes.
Okay, so if they go to Facebook and do M for Michelle and
Yeah.
then Held, Held,
Right.
Studios,
Right.
Studios,
Yes.
and that's on Facebook. So
Right.
if they go to Facebook and then they put that in, and your studio should pop up. Now, when it comes up, will it have any? Can you sell things from your website from Facebook?
I do,
You can sell directly from Facebook.
but they need to contact me.
They contact you and say, I like this one,
Right.
and then you tell them, okay, it's available, and
Right.
do you want it as a giclée, or do you want the original, or do you want it in a different size? Because you can do that,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
you can do a print from an original. Do you do limiteds?
Yes. All the giclées are limited edition. I do less than 100, and giclées are priced about a third of the price of the original, so that the original maintains its value.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sell an original, that's the end of your giclées? You only make, how many do you make?
Right, up to 100.
Up to 100, and
Yeah.
then you're done,
Yeah.
and it's got to sell, or it doesn't get any more.
No more.
No
Yes.
more. All right. And
Mhm.
your prints. Now, what about prints? Are they're not the same
Yes.
as giclées, are they?
Yes.
Oh, your
Mhm.
prints are giclées. Okay.
Yes, giclée is a modern name for print lithograph. What it is it's a true, the pigments that they're printing with now are the same pigments that are in the paint. Like, so Golden or, Winsor Newton or whoever's going to use the same pigments as now the printing process goes.
How do they manage to do that?
That is not me.
That's not your. That's not your
No.
job. Not my job.
No, I have a magician that does that. She's amazing. So
Yeah, I still don't completely understand giclées, and I know I've been in some places where they go, these are prints, these are giclées, and these are. So I'm guessing the prints are just something they ran off the copy machine.
yeah, you
don't
got
know.
me. But I know that Thomas Kincaid was one of the first people who did the enhanced giclées, and that brings you closer to an original because you take the print, then you hand paint on that print, which makes it an original. At this stage in my life, I like to share my talent, and I do make it affordable. So, and that may be why I sell
As much as you do.
as many as I do. I need the wall space because I got more ideas in my head. So let's move this on and get to something
get to the
else.
next one. Yes.
So-
Now, so you're making this wonderful living, doing exactly what you want to do, and now your
Right.
husband has joined you in
Right.
doing it, and
Yes.
he's enjoying the heck out of that.
Yes, he is. He has
Even though
come
he's
to the
working for his wife.
Yes, but he's come to midlife and joined a band and bought a Camaro and now works with me. So he's making a lot of changes midstream.
Now, how long have you all been married?
15 years.
So this is a definite big change for him. Did he hit 40?
He might have hit 50, but we won't tell.
I think we just did. But the point
Yes.
is that he's getting to that point where it's time to actually live his dream as well. He's
Right.
watching you live yours,
Right.
and that makes sense. Now he
Yes.
gets to live a dream. And granted, he's doing your dream, but the band singing,
Right.
he's a vocalist.
Yes.
All right.
And he's doing very well with that and having a lot of fun. So I think when
Both of you living your dreams. Now
I
you
know.
you mentioned children. Are they all at home still?
they're grown and they're not at home. So they are.
That
I
gives
have a-
you the liberty to
Mhm.
explore who you want to be and what you want to do, the two of you.
Right.
That is
Exactly.
amazing.
So they're grown and living their dreams as well. So.
Well, I appreciate you being on Culture Coast, and
Thank
I
you.
hope lots of people go on your online and contact you if they want a piece, but not so many that they make you too busy.
Yes, yes.
How long is the waiting list right now for getting you to do a commercial custom piece?
Yeah, we're about 2 months out.
So if
So
they want
that's
something,
nice.
they're going to have to know they're going to be on
Yeah.
the waiting list.
Yeah, let's order for Christmas now.
Yeah, wow. It is time to order
Yes.
for Christmas now.
Yes,
So anybody hearing this, because this is in 148 countries, you have to go to our Facebook page and tell her you want a custom piece now.
Yes.
Thanks for being on Culture Coast.
Thank you.